These arrogant giants were convinced that they would crush those tiny fighters without even breaking a sweat. But the brave Davids refused to swallow that humiliation and stepped forward to punish the arrogant Goliaths. Here it is proven that size isn't everything. Mighty Moe is a Samoan wrecking ball weighing 129 kilograms, capable of sending anyone to the afterlife with his nuclear fists. One day, the organizers gave him a light snack. A small Thai man named Kao Klai, with a ridiculous weight difference of 59 kilograms between them. Moe started throwing punches like a sledgehammer, like a man crushing a fly with a manhole cover. But Kao Klai saved his ultimate move. He leapt into the air and landed a flying knee right on Moe's jaw. The 129-kilogram giant collapsed like a crumbling building. A man who weighed half as much as him had just knocked him out with a move straight out of a martial arts movie. But if a flying knee can take down a giant, wait until you see what happens when a giant runs out of time in 21 seconds. Tomasz Czerwinski, considered at that time the heaviest mixed martial arts fighter in history, 574 kilograms. A man so big he had his own atmosphere. Next to him, Mark Potter, at 108 kilograms, looked like a man who got lost and ended up in the wrong zip code. Potter burst forward immediately, sent the giant to the canvas, and finished with ground and pound until the referee stepped in to save him.
Potter walks up to him as if it is a stroll in the park. This is frantic ground and pound, jackhammering shots. He's got to be looking to stop in there soon. It's over!
But if 174 kilograms fall in 21 seconds, imagine what happens when a YouTube blogger steps into the ring with a man who looks like he was sculpted from marble. Josh Bregner, undefeated, with the body of Apollo. Absolutely convinced that his muscles would crush the fat blogger Papi, a man whose training plan consisted of video games and double cheeseburgers. But as soon as the bell rang, Papi took total control, playing with Bregner as if he were a helpless child.
Stay composed, the guys just been way too stiff on knees. Josh, when he pulled up.
In the end, he sent the giant with an Olympian build straight to Tartarus with a punch no one saw coming. The couch defeated the gym. Josh went home to rethink everything. But speaking of colossal humiliations, let's talk about what happens when 75 kilos go up against 192 kilos on New Year's Eve. This burger titan is called Butterbean. 192 kilos of devastation that had crushed dozens of men with one hand. One New Year's Eve, they served him a 75-kilo Japanese man named Genki Sudo on a platter. Instead of trading blows with the wrecking ball, Sudo immediately took a defensive stance and dragged Butterbean into his world. The ground. Butterbean, helpless like a beached whale on the canvas, had no answer. Sudo put him in a heel hook, and the 192-kilogram man tapped out in less than 2 minutes. Sudo celebrated by dancing in the ring. Butterbean sat there wondering what had just happened. But Butterbean's nightmare wasn't over yet, because there was another smaller man patiently waiting to destroy his legs. Butterbean is still the king of 4-round fights, and he came prepared to destroy Mike in those 4 rounds. But Mike had other plans for the giant. From the very first bell, Bernardo began to surgically destroy Butterbean's legs with brutal low kicks. Each one landed with a sickening thud, visibly melting the giant's foundation like hot water over ice.
吸収します。大きな武器となっているこの脂肪。ローキックの連続。痛がっている、痛がっている。ローが効いている。さあそれでも前に出て、その注目の第1ラウンド2分が経過し、さすがアメリカボクシング。しかし効いている。左足が効いている。左のフックパンチも当たっていった。さあ効いている。膝切り。さあどうだ、さあどうだ。あと3秒、2秒、1秒、もつか。
In the second round, with Butterbean's legs completely destroyed and his mobility gone, Bernardo threw a perfect head kick that landed squarely on the giant's skull, knocking him unconscious.
9月は165キロ。
Now, some giants learn from being destroyed, and then there's Akebono, who took longer to learn. This giant is called Akebono, a former sumo yokozuna weighing 227 kilograms who decided that after dominating the dojo for years, he would honor the world of kickboxing with his enormous presence. One day he faced Remy Bonjaski, the flying gentleman. Just 109 kilograms of Dutch kickboxing precision. Akebono immediately began to use his sumo tactics, pushing and shoving as if he had forgotten that this wasn't a dojo and that there were real strikes involved. But Bonjaski was too fast, too technical, and too disciplined to be intimidated by a man who moved like a slow-loading game. So the slimmer fighter decided to bring the skyscraper down from its foundations. He unleashed a devastating high kick that sent the 227-kilogram giant crashing to the canvas. The referee rushed in to intervene while Akebono struggled to comprehend what had just happened. Remy Bonjaski had just dismantled a half-ton legend using only speed, precision, and timing. Bob Sapp, 170 kilos of a walking chemical factory. But here's the twist. In this fight, he was the smallest one. Akebono brought his whole family to see his debut. A big mistake.
Wait! Akebono! See that very often.
Bob Sapp traditionally is the aggressor in all of his fights.
Fight. Bob Sapp, another low kick. I like how Akebono just pushes Bob Sapp away and says, oh, nice low leg kick landed by Sapp. Oh, nice right hand. Akebono, he just shoves Bob Sapp.
Sapp immediately realized that his opponent had no defense against punches and started dropping bombs like a man with a score to settle.
And then he holds the dance. How about that?
Oh no!
Is dead.
He knocked Akebono down like a fallen oak tree. Then, once again face down on the ground, in a position that made him look like a giant frog taking a nap.
Finish Akebono in his first round. 10 seconds remaining. Oh, 1-2 combination. That is...
But Akebono clearly needed a third opinion on the matter. At this point, Akebono should have had his personal therapist on speed dial because the fight organizers clearly had a vendetta. This time they matched him up with Royce Gracie, the 82-kilogram Brazilian jiu-jitsu legend who had already turned the early Ultimate Fighting Championship into his personal playground. 82 kilograms versus 227 kilograms, a difference of 145 kilograms. From the very first moment, Royce closed the distance. He got his grips and Gracie's magic worked its dark magic even against a man almost 3 times his size. Now that we've established that Akebono was a problem for everyone, let's formally introduce the other recurring villain in this video, Bob Sapp. At that point in his career, Bob Sapp had knocked out 4-time K1 champion Ernesto Hoost twice. He was considered almost invincible, but Ray Sifo disagreed. Sapp came forward like a steamroller, throwing devastating punches. Sefo survived the first round, picking his shots patiently.
U nogama, a šta je u glavi vidjet ćemo, mišići su tu, deće, čuveni Sugarfoot Sefo. Bob Sapp, Rea Sefo, ugao. Ovo je šampion, pogledajte.
At 29 seconds into the second round, Sefo landed a devastating counter right hand to the giant's jaw, and the beast fell to the ground.
Ko preživi, pričat će Ray Sefo, za sada uspeva da opstane.
Proving that being a 350-pound nightmare means nothing when someone with real technique decides they've had enough. But Sefo wasn't the only one with a plan to humiliate the beast, because the most dangerous-looking ordinary man in combat sports had a date with Sapinu, Ikwisa Minoa, 185 pounds. He looked like someone you'd see shopping at the supermarket. Inside the ring, a professional giant killer. Sapp outweighed him by 86 kilograms and could use 2 Minoas as a barbell. Minoa didn't care. He immediately went for a takedown and dragged the giant to the mat.
Right from Minoa Man. Single leg here from Minoa Man. Can he get Bob Sapp down? They go to canvas.
This is exactly where Minoa...
He can choke perhaps. Minoa Man slips out
actually
there.
Good for Minoa. He can turn it up if he gets his hips underneath him.
He moved to Sapp's back, applied a crushing Achilles lock, and the 170-kilogram monster submitted to a man who looked like his accountant.
Minoa Man coming
Here
by.
he's going for it. He's going for it now. He's got the Achilles lock. It's a good position with the leg up like that and the knee turned. It's a very vulnerable place for the Achilles lock.
Oh,
But the story of Sapp's humiliation was not over yet, because a 47-year-old Hungarian grandfather had something to say about it. Bob Sapp, still huge, still holding the title of the dirtiest rat in combat sports, still choosing opponents he thought would be a piece of cake. This time, the man Sapp had picked was a 47-year-old Hungarian named Kunkli Tibadar, weighing 77 kilograms. Sapp outweighed him by 93 kilograms and was completely relaxed. Sapp charged forward, throwing heavy punches meant to end everything right away.
Sapp azonnal Tibadar, és ettől fárad. Ez nem rossz. Ez jó a taktika. Tibadar meg fogja verni, ha így marad párt.
But Tibadar kept calm, held his guard firm, and waited with the patience of a man who had done his homework and then done it again.
Egészen hihetetlen képeket látunk. Ott van egy térd. És nem van boxtét. Mögöttem megőrülnek, főleg a hölgyek, és megint nem van. Mozgatni is nagyon nehéz. Ott van a könyökös. Jaj, vigyázz, vigyázz! Tibadar. Kiesnek a ringből, hihetetlen.
Then, when Sapp overreached with another wild punch, Tibadar countered with a precise blow that sent the 170-kilogram monster crashing to the canvas.
Csak nem lesz belőle. Tibadar nagyon jól csinálja, nagyon jól csatnyolravítja. Kész, vége!
The grandfather not only survived the beast, he taught him a lesson like a strict grandfather teaching a spoiled grandson a lesson he would never, ever forget. The saga of Bob Sapp had officially come to an end. But what about a man who decided to destroy not just one giant in a single night, but two? Jan Norge, a South African giant standing 2.11 meters tall and weighing 151 kilograms. A man like Jan Norge, a South African giant. 2.11 meters and 151 kilograms. Sokachu was a light heavyweight at 93 kilograms, giving up 28 centimeters and 58 kilograms. The image resembled a comedy sketch. Sokachu attacked fearlessly, took down the giant, and unleashed devastating blows until the referee had to step in to save what was left of Norge.
Sokachu takes him down inside the half guard on top. Big right hand, almost put him through the canvas. Young the giant forced to cover up, but he is copying an absolute beating. Sokachu just monstering him. It's all over. It's all over. Oh, Sokachu losing the...
One round and a giant destroyed. But here's the key. It wasn't over yet. the same night, the same arena, and the same Sokuchu. But in the semifinals, he was up against the one and only, the Beast. Bob Sapp, 159 kilos of muscle. Sokuchu had just smashed a giant weighing 151 kilos 20 minutes earlier, and he wasn't going to slow down at all. From the first bell, the African assassin attacked with the same fearless energy, refusing to let Sapp settle, constantly circling him and throwing punches.
오늘 노브레이키. 자, 1라운드 시작하게 나오는 수도. 밥샵. 자, 밥샵의 전진 러쉬.
치고 중심 잡고 있는 밥샵인데요.
아, 라이트 크게 빗나갑니다.
어물 지르면서 밥샵.
자, 다리 하나 낙하채면
겠는데요.
자, 이제 매질이 시작이 되나요?
네.
자,
When Sapp tried to grab him, Sokuchu exploded with a takedown, throwing the 159-kilogram beast to the ground as if he were a sack of wet concrete.
자, 해머리 다운이 요새 들어갑니다. 아, 웅크리고 저 못합니다. 레프리 스탑.
Sokuchu had officially become the most dangerous-looking ordinary person in the history of combat sports. Hongman Choi, the Korean colossus who stands 2.18 meters tall and weighs over 158 kilos. A man who had spent years writing down the names of his opponents in his death notebook and looking down at each and every one of them from an impressive height. Even Badr Hari, the current K1 heavyweight champion, genuinely had to look up when this man entered the room.
4년생입니다. 자, 신장차가 한 20cm가량 나고 있는.
Choi was not intimidated. He threw a powerful punch that sent Badr to the canvas. But Badr got up immediately and started pounding the giant with fierce body shots, like a man digging into a mountain with his own fists.
들어가다가 카운터를 맞을 수 있으니까요.
자, 면 좌호, 그래서 오히려 뒤로. 자, 로킥.
해준 다음에 안 들어가는 게 좋은데요.
상은 선점을 하고 있습니다만, 나르도 위기를.
By the end of the third round, Choi could barely stand. His corner, seeing their man turning into a live anatomy lesson, did something that had never been done before and threw in the towel.
계속 드립이 됐는데요. 여기에 타워를.
Badr Hari had just proven that even the biggest giants have organs. And those organs can be absolutely attacked, destroyed, and broken. Hongman Choi had been away from combat sports for 6 years, maybe to recover or maybe to reconsider his life choices, maybe both. He came back. He was still 2.18 meters tall. He still gave off that aura of invincibility that came from looking like a building that had learned to put on gloves. His opponent was Carlos Toyota, 30 centimeters shorter. Toyota circled cautiously. Then he decided that caution was overrated. He lunged forward and charged at full speed, sending the Korean giant straight to the gas station.
들어갑니다. 네. 태운다. 불꽃이 튀깁니다.
April 30th, 1993, the first ever K1 World Grand Prix final. Ernesto Hoost, the man who would go on to win 4 world championships, was not yet a legend, and Branko Cikarik was about to make history. Hoost was controlling the pace. With just a few seconds left in the round, it looked like he would take it. Then Cikarik stepped forward with a left hook and a devastating right overhand that landed clean. Hoost was unconscious before he hit the canvas. Lebanner had already beaten Hunt once, knocking him down several times, so when Hunt picked him again in the K1 Grand Prix final, the whole stadium thought Hunt had gone crazy. From the first bell, Lebanner looked confident. In the second round, Hunt figured out Lebanner's combination and threw a right hand that landed perfectly on his jaw. Lebaner was unconscious before he hit the canvas. Hunt ended up winning the whole tournament that night. The story should have ended there. But Lebaner came back 14 years later, on October 5th, 2024. Lebaner, 51 years old, was returning to the ring for the first time in 14 years. His opponent, Kaji, was coming off 5 consecutive losses. No one expected any problems. In the first round, Lebaner looked like the veteran master he once was. Then Kaji lunged forward, cornered the legend against the ropes, and threw a perfectly timed kick to the head. The K1 boss fell unconscious. Marcelo Garcia, weighing 77 kilograms, entered the Absolute Division, where there are no weight classes. His opponent was Rico Rodriguez, a former heavyweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, weighing 136 kilograms, with a 50-kilogram difference, no strikes to even things out, no lucky punches, just pure skill against pure size. Rodriguez tried to use his size to crush and control Garcia, but Marcelo moved like water, flowing from one position to another, never allowing the heavyweight to establish anything close to control. Then Garcia took Rodriguez down, quickly transitioned to a heel hook, and Rodriguez tapped almost immediately, knowing there was simply no way out. Ihor Bobchanchin, a 100-kilogram Ukrainian wrecking ball, one principle: move forward and destroy everything. His opponent, Fred Floyd, weighed 160 kilograms and spent the time before the fight trying to intimidate him, but Ihor didn't seem fazed. Floyd tried to chase him around the ring, but Ihor responded with brutal combinations that mercilessly targeted the Giant's weakest points.
After him, wow! Fister just flying all over, a knee to the side. Both these fighters going all out. They are not going to grapple in this one. Both fighters going in.
Floyd kept moving until his own weight left him out of breath. Then Ihor landed the combination that put the Giants' lights out with a single blow.
In the capital city, and this has just been one great bout. And we go almost to the 13-minute mark. Again, no time limit, so these guys will fight until one of them cannot no longer continue, either by knockout or submission. And right now, Igor going away with the right hooks, this time with the left. He is tapped out. Fred Floyd has said he's had enough.
At the time of this fight, Andrei Arlovsky was already the pitbull, already a very dangerous and experienced fighter, which made the challenge for his opponent almost impossible. That opponent was Vyacheslav Datsik, who was 16 years old and making his professional debut. The entire first round was an absolute beatdown. Pitbull dominated and Datsik took the hits. The difference in experience was obvious from any seat in the arena.
And gets taken down, and it's a wild and woolly. He may be in danger of being submitted in this position.
I knew, but I knew it really well. Look at him pulling.
Exact.
Here I come. Go.
I want, like, this is the infamous lunch money fight. Extremely technical move, and that's the kick.
But just moments later, the teenage debutante unexpectedly sent Arlovsky to sleep with a punch that no one in the arena saw coming. The 16-year-old had just knocked out a future Ultimate Fighting Championship champion. In 2014, a 17-year-old named Tenshin Nasukawa made his professional debut. The student who would become a global star faced Tomo Aramatsu, who was 9 years older than him and was expected to win easily. Nasukawa immediately started pounding Aramatsu with a ballet-like elegance that you wouldn't expect from a teenager. Not one to waste time, the young prodigy didn't beat around the bush and soon unleashed his wildest high kick of the night, knocking Aramatsu out. Martin Sultic, 119 kilograms of muscle and overconfidence, coming out like a ball of fire with his hands moving and absolutely no respect for his opponent's power. His opponent was Kirill Sidelnikov, 19 years old, 104 kilograms, and from Fedor Emelianenko's own Red Devil fight team. Sultic moved forward with his hands down throughout the entire fight, throwing punches like a man who truly believed that size alone would be enough to finish his opponent.
Coming out like a fireball. Big Sultic doesn't seem to respect man at 229 pounds, and he's avoiding the big strikes. Huge. He's going to gas carrying around that kind of weight. You're not going to win. You see, Sultic does not have a traditional, and even when he blocks it slightly, it still moves him backwards.
But Sidelnikov stayed patient, moving his head and waiting for his moment. Then, the right hook landed squarely on his chin and Sultic fell to the canvas completely disoriented.
Ground yet. Not at all.
Mikhail Koklyaev, Russian strongman, a powerhouse who broke records, a man who had bent steel, lifted impossible weights, and earned the respect of everyone in the world of strength sports. He challenged Alexander Emelianenko, Fedor's younger brother, a professional fighting machine who had been training to hurt people long before Koklyaev ever thought of the idea. But as soon as the professional started fighting with all his strength, that carefully built pile of muscles quickly turned into something very different. Mariusz Pudzianowski, 5-time world's strongest man, a name that resonates throughout the world of strength sports. He came with a plan to take down Peter Graham by crushing him with hammer fists and his own body weight. And for most of the first round it worked.
Szykuje tego prawego luja, będzie sprowadzony na wykluczaniu. Paraliżyskim rywalem Mariusz Pudzianowski, a to chyba nie jest do końca rozsądne. Rozsądne jest szukanie partnera. Mało czasu, a więc szarp do góry Mario. Nie w ten sposób. Ale odpowiedział sierpowy.
Odpowiada i znów rusza, ale znów
bardziej efektywnie pracuje nad twarzą Mariusza Pudzianowskiego.
Mariusz Pudzianowski ma możliwości, aby z tej pozycji wyjść. Nie jest w stanie także w tej...
In the second round, Pudzianowski attempted a desperate takedown. He failed and ended up lying on his back with no defense at all.
I to będzie chyba egzekucja na Polaku. Peter Graham idzie po zwycięstwo w main evencie.
Mnóstwo tych ciosów młotkowych, teraz łokci i za chwilę przerwie walkę Tomasz Bronder, dlatego że Pudzianowski nie odpowiada.
Już powinien przerwać ten pojedynek Tomek Bronder. To jest przerwa.
Nikolai Valuev, the beast from the east, 2 meters tall, 143 kilos, heavyweight champion of the World Boxing Association. Next to him, David Haye, with his 95 kilos, looked like a cruiserweight who had ended up in the wrong division. But Haye didn't come to be intimidated by the size.
Switch will move over back. See, that's the big question already. Seem to catch value. Watched him studiously. They've worked on things.
Round after round, Haye outperformed the giant, revealing the fundamental truth that size means absolutely nothing without the speed to land your punches or the defense to dodge your opponents.
At the halfway stage.
Championship fights, and he's nearly always at home of that.
Impress the judges a little bit more.
Valuev is winning.
By the decisive rounds, the 143-kilogram Colossus was exhausted. Each punch was slower. His guard collapsed, and Hay destroyed him with pinpoint precision over 12 full rounds.
Frustrated Baloev
with enough to
at least once during the fight.
Is the big question. Good right.
When the final bell rang, David Hay walked away as the new WBA heavyweight champion. He had just beaten a man who outweighed him by more than 45 kilograms over 12 full rounds.
Two good shots from...
Needs more of that. Sometimes he must feel like it's paper darts against the mouth. Oh, he's got it going with a left hook. What a finish here. Hey, gets to Baloev, who definitely...
Majority decision from London, England, and no.
David Hay is the WBA heavyweight champion of the world.
But we've saved the most recognizable name in this video for last, because the universe saved the most satisfying moment for the end. Hafthor Bjornsson, the mountain from Game of Thrones. He was so confident in his size that he challenged the Ultimate Fighting Championship fighter and black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, Gunnar Nelson. He had no idea he was signing his own death sentence.
Oh, what he's thinking? He's thinking of something.
He wrapped himself around Bjornsson like an anaconda, cutting off any chance of escape until the mountain had no choice but to surrender. Even the most famous giant in television history surrendered. Muscles don't matter in a real fight. They just make the submission look better on camera.